Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
Uh-oh. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies.
So nowadays it's huh? Oh man.
We're
Sit down, folks. Strap in, folks. Here it comes.
Episode number 288. 288 episodes. Whew, it's been a stretch, huh?
Oh man.
Today's title is Why Most Creative Real Estate Entrepreneurs Aren't Happy.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the description of the podcast. How far will you go with this real estate thing? What exactly are you using for a measuring stick? You've already decided that real estate will make you happy. You've truly fathomed the power of being a successful You truly fathomed the power of being a successful creative real estate entrepreneur. But almost immediately you got a bit overwhelmed from so many choices to make. And it humbled you. But you kept going, sometimes for years. So how do you actually measure your pursuit of happiness in the real estate business, or anywhere else for that fact? Here's a real eye-opener. A recent poll found that only about 14% of all American adults say they are not very happy, or they are very happy. 14% say they are very happy.
14.
Why is this? Or how can you change it effortlessly and embrace everything life feeds you on a daily basis? In this single podcast, we will plan to part the skies and shed some needed light on how you can gain total happiness, especially in your real estate career. In fact, we will show you when you are chasing happiness, where to look. And if you don't know these simple rules, I would venture to say you may never find happiness. Damn.
Yeah.
Woo!
Bill, you said effortlessly. I don't even mind putting some effort into it. That's fine. I'll do some.
Here you go.
I don't want it to be too easy.
So
I think
Peter.
I'm a slacker, man.
Peter.
Yes, sir.
In the description of this podcast, wherever you're seeing or hearing this podcast, I overdid myself.
Not again.
There's a link in there with 21 precepts of how to be happy.
Wow.
So go in there and grab it. It is 100% for free. There's even a course in there on how you can be happy.
Get out of here. You did.
Swear to God, I did.
I think I know what you did too.
Also, if you're listening to these podcasts or you're watching them, please subscribe to them or give us a review. Go to Flipping Houses for Rookies and grab all your free stuff. There's actually a page that we call free stuff with 25 or 26, all different kinds of things, documents and videos and scripts and all kinds of stuff. So go there, make sure you grab it. If you have any questions, send them to support, which is Flipping Houses for Rookies. Top right-hand side, it says support. I answer them always. Some days there's more than I care to have, but I answer them. So there you go. Lastly, we record this podcast on Saturday. On Saturday. We record this podcast on Thursday mornings, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you'd like to join us or be part of a podcast, you can go to Facebook or YouTube, and you can just type in Flipping Houses for Rookies, and you will find us live, and you can chat with us in the chat or in the comment section of YouTube and be part of the podcast if you so desire. With that said, let's get on with the podcast.
Hey, Bill, you know what's funny?
I don't know what's funny.
That's what. No, I'll be going through Facebook once in a while, right?
Yeah.
And there we are in a podcast, like, oh, geez, that's us.
Yeah, exactly.
In the stream, people flipping it around, going through, and there I am again. There's Bill. Holy moly!
Yeah. Pictures of us. I do the same thing. It's like,
Yeah,
what's
it's like-
Peter? What's Peter doing? Oh, wait a minute, he's with me.
There we are. Hey,
Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about more today? Go ahead. What are you going to tell us?
Okay, here we go. To be free is to be able to choose for yourself. You have the capability to choose. You have the variety of options from which to choose. You also have the courage to choose. You are the one who controls and directs your own life and your future. And we already know your future is your prosperity, where you can still flourish and prosper. It's virgin ground.
Yeah. As much as people say, oh, this is going to happen and that's going to happen, we see the stats and see the stories and the trends. What a bunch of hooey. You tell me what's going to happen tomorrow morning. You can change the whole thing like a snap of a finger. Well, maybe 2 snaps of a finger, but I am never bound by that. Never. That's why I'm still here.
Exactly.
Man, if you don't think that, you just already gave up. Forget it. Forget it. Forget it. I don't care what they say. Believe me, I talk to people. Oh, in a few years this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Exactly.
Well, are we not standing here? Are we not alive? Are we pawns in the game of life? Come on, folks. I'm done.
Well, here's my answer. This is the pretty version of what I just said. So what I just said is, Anne, we already know your future is your prosperity. That's your prosperity. Your future is your prosperity, where you can still flourish and prosper.
Mm-hmm.
If you get even within 5 miles of me, you will soon find out that I am my own author of my own universe. I do not have other offers. My autonomy, or my ability to be on my own island, is something that I worked on for 58 years. And I used to think that it was a problem, and recently I have found no, just the opposite.
Jeez, Bill, what were you trying to fit in? You? That's funny.
Freedom is the lack of obstacles. Freedom is the lack of obstacles without being a slave to someone or something else. Freedom is the presence of control. In other words, your own master. Let's talk about what Dr. Benjamin Hardy says in his book, Gap and Gain. Freedom from is objective and external. You have objective freedom if you live in a free place. For example, an elephant out in the wild may have more external freedom than an elephant living in the zoo.
Sure.
Freedom 2 is subject and internal. It's subjective and internal.
Mm-hmm.
You have subjective freedom if you feel free. These build on top of each other. Freedom from means you've removed the external obstacles. Freedom 2 asks, okay, what will you do now?
Right.
So what happens with me is, to be honest with you, I'm a little fed up. If you haven't been on my email list, I will tell you that I'm fed up. I've made a huge mistake in my career that I'm trying to right. I will actually go to one of my books. So here, I wasn't planning on doing this, so give me 1 second. Here's what I have created. Because I give so much of my materials away for free, and because I'm so liberal with my information, I have figured out over a long journey, and I have taken it in the face, if you would, kicked in the teeth type of thing, that my clients are not emotionally invested. Because they got it for free.
Is that a little bit of taking it for granted?
Yeah. They don't perceive anything that we talk about to be valuable. Or if they perceive it to be valuable, not enough where they would drag their ass over hot coals to get it.
So maybe they could, well, I'll do it later. It'll still be there later if I want it.
They're
right?
always there. They're always there. We did
Yeah.
287 podcasts. I have plenty to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which, by the way, because of that, results are extremely decreased or non-existent. Because they weren't emotionally involved and they don't believe that what we have is valuable.
Yeah.
I will tell you arrogantly, and I really don't want to say this, but it is how I feel. At 58 years old, you know, Peter, that I've been involved in a lot of groups, a lot of all kinds of groups. I mean, business groups and groups of church, and I'm a big like to help type of a guy.
Yep, you are.
And you know that because you've known me for 25 plus years, right?
Yeah, and we're doing some of those things together, helping.
Right.
Free. Our own, put our own money in or whatever. We do that.
What I realized way late, which is not too long ago, what I bring to the table is my viewpoint. Wherever I get it from, however it is, it's the way I look at things that is usually the added value. For some reason, I have the uncanny ability. My coach, you talk to him, he's my biggest fan.
Yeah.
He talked to him, Will Irish, if you want to find him on Facebook. You won't be able to get him to coach you, but you can go talk to him anyways. Message him. I'm sure he'll do that. If you tell him you heard about him on my podcast, on Bill's podcast, and he'll be thrilled to know that. But the point is this. He always talks about, and I'm bragging on myself, but I'm going to tell you the reason why in a minute, okay? I'm bragging on myself because here's what happens. When I see something, I go into action. I trust myself to know that when I get in trouble, I can get out. Because I'm not in my own prison. I'm not what I'm talking about here. What I do is different than most, and I just recently figured this out, like in the last 6 months. What I do is different. Okay? Because I don't feel like I'm in prison. I don't feel like somebody has the keys to my cell. I don't feel like I have an author that writes my future.
Yeah.
I mean, no disrespect. You and I are very religious people, but it's like I don't believe that there's an author writing, a supreme being that is like controlling me. Now, I definitely believe in supreme beings and the matter of guidance and ethics and morals and all that kind of stuff. But I don't believe that I'm controlled. I believe that supreme being has given me choices to do what I think is correct in the situation that I'm in.
Sure. What about the old line, the Lord helps those who help themselves?
Exactly.
Duh.
Exactly. So here's what happens because I've created all this free content and I've not made my listeners or my clients emotionally invested, and because they feel like my value is low because the things that I tell them they don't pay for, their results are very low, and most important, their profit centers are way off. They're not emotionally invested in what they need to do. It's not this absolute, kind of like the story of the I forget how the story goes, but there's an island that has to be invaded in this warmonger or whatever you want to call him has all his troops on ships. And he gets to, it's an old story. I read it somewhere, right?
Yeah.
And he gets to the shoreline and he orders the troops to burn the ships. And his philosophy was either we're going to make it or we're going to die. Right?
That raises your necessity, huh?
Yeah. All right. So the reason why I tell you all of this is because of these two paragraphs I'm going to read you. I didn't know this about me. It's something that I somehow or another picked up along the line. I had an unusual childhood, so I think that might have something to do with it. But I'm not even convinced of that. Right? So here are the paragraphs. Let me get back here. I got to go back to another page. So freedom from is objective and external. You have objective freedom if you live in a free place. For example, an elephant out in the wild may have more external freedom than an elephant living in a zoo.
Yeah.
Freedom, too, is subjective and internal. You have subjective freedom if you feel free. So what happens in my world is I always have number 2 first. Any of my projects, anything that I do, if I feel I am subjectively free, I'm the author of my own universe. I'm going to tell you something. I have none of this is written down, and I'm kind of on a rant right now, and I need to get off because we have a lot to cover today, and I don't want to blow the hour, right? I've been doing a new experiment, and I got to tell you, it is over the top. I can't believe what this has done to me personally. I can't believe it. It is like extraordinary, and I've only been doing it for less than 2 weeks, but I can't tell you what it has done to my life.
Tell me what it is, because I've been with you the last couple of weeks, and I didn't notice you doing anything. What are you doing?
At night, when I go to bed, I lay down, and the last thing I think of, or what I think of, because I fall right to sleep, so what I think of before I fall to sleep is 3 things that I'm grateful for that day.
Wow.
And I found myself sleeping better. I find myself waking up in the morning and like, oh, wow, I'm excited for another day. I find myself midday thinking to myself, have I created anything I'm grateful for yet today? And I change my course of my schedule or my viewpoint or my way I'm doing things for the rest of the day, so I have something to be grateful for. Now, last week we talked about this, and not last week, it's last week for us, but episode number 287 at the end, I talked about gratitude.
Yeah, and I retained that. When you said it just a minute ago, like we talk about a lot of things. I don't always remember where everything goes. That stuck with me.
Yeah.
That's for real.
Today's podcast, I was going to actually, which I lied to you last podcast, I was going to actually, I was going to use the Napoleon Hill, Rich and Think and Grow Rich has 6 things, 6 ways to handle gratitude. I might do that next week.
Right.
But this
chapter on it.
But something has happened. See, what has happened is in my email, I've been surveying my email list. Mm-hmm. And first of all, I am absolutely, positively blown away at how many people have been trying to do real estate for 5 and 10 years. Yeah. I'm kidding you not. Well, let's put it this way. I have not had a survey, and I've done dozens of surveys. I've gotten dozens of results. Dozens and dozens of results. There's not one survey that I have that is, I've been doing this for less than 2 years. Most of them are between 2 and 8 years. Why are people taking so long to do this? I'm taking this personal. I'm taking this personal. I don't know. I don't understand why it is that way. Right? I'm telling you that if you just switch, and this has nothing to do with the podcast at all. This is just a personal thing for me. Freedom is subjective and internal. When you decide you are free in your own mind and that you have the ability to change your own universe and change your future and know that your future is your prosperity and you are the author of that future, then you can live in a free place outside of your head. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, I read an article yesterday. Blows me away again. It's like I've been reading. In fact, actually, 3 days ago I stopped reading because I've been reading too much. Right? It screws my head up. Right? I got too much to do. Anyways, I read an article that millennials. There's statistics right now that millennials are buying vacation homes as their first home.
Wait a minute. Vacation home how do you do that?
So most people buy a vacation home as a second home, like a house on the beach.
Yeah. So they live there and they just stay there.
Yeah. Now, how smart is that? That's exactly what I'm talking about. In a free place. Living in a free place. Mm-hmm. Right? Why don't we do that?
Yeah.
Why do we live? First of all, my wife keeps asking me every single day, 3 times a day, why do we live in Connecticut? It's 19 degrees here today. Why are we here? Why aren't we in Florida? Why aren't we where it's warm? Okay?
Yep.
Let's move on. The goal of creating an environment of freedom is that as an individual, you actually live your life according to your own choosing rather than compulsion or I have to's. Have, H-A-V-E. My accent makes it sound like H-A-L-F. It's have to's, H-A-V-E.
I get it.
Compulsion or have to's. Which all brings me to my point today. Your happiness as a person is dependent on what you measure yourself against. This is huge. I got this from the book Gain. What is it called? I just said Gap and Gain. Right? Mm-hmm. It actually moved me immensely. Okay? Just the first 20% of the book was enough for me. Right? Here's why. I have been making this mistake for 58 years. Had no idea I was doing it. More specifically, so that's your happiness as a person is dependent on what you measure yourself against. Mm-hmm. You're your own worst critic.
Yeah.
More specifically, you measure your own gains rather than worrying about other people. I already do that. Mm-hmm. Right? This, in fact, I have a little gauge inside of me that I picked up many years ago with my first wife, actually. She was the one that started it. The more she hated what I was doing and the more she pushed back and the more resistance I got from her and the people around me, the more I knew I was the right thing to do. Later on, I found out from Dan Kennedy that if you go against the herd, you'll do the best.
Yeah.
You don't do the normal, especially with marketing. It's too common that the chiropractor wants to know how to do marketing, and he goes out and he looks at everybody else to see what kind of marketing he's doing. But he doesn't know how many of those chiropractors are failing. We used to do this in the auto business because I owned an auto repair shop for 27 years. What's your labor rate? It's, at the time, $75 an hour. Well, how did you come up with that? Well, I called 3 other shops and asked them what their labor rate was, and I went right in the middle. But do you know if those other repair shops are making money at that labor rate?
Yeah.
Right? So don't follow the herd. Do what's right. And usually what's right is what's against the herd. Mm-hmm. So my barometer for, am I doing the right thing or not, is how many people oppose to me. And the more I get, the more I know it's right, right? So this is how you become. So let me back up. More specifically, measure your own gains rather than worry about other people.
Right.
This is how you become self-determined. You have an internal reference point. You stop measuring yourself against others. It's self-determinism is not measuring yourself against somebody else. When you start doing that, you gave up your self-determinism. Right?
Absolutely. Why do that?
Only measure yourself against yourself. Now, Dan Sullivan came up with this. Dan Sullivan from the Strategic Coaching System illustrated this in his book, Gain and Gap, right? Mm-hmm. The best and most efficient way that you should measure yourself so you'll end up happy. So here's what he said.
Okay.
I'm going to paint a picture for you in your mind, okay?
Sure.
Think of 3 circles stacked on top of each other. Mm-hmm. Top, middle, bottom.
Yep.
Okay? With the top circle being your ideal outcome. He calls it your ideal. I call it your ideal outcome.
Yeah.
The next circle down is your achievements. And the circle at the bottom is where you started from.
Okay.
Okay, so it's going from the bottom up, where you started, then your achievements, and then your ideal outcome. Where do you want to be?
Right.
An example of these 3, is ideal outcome, achieve, start, like I just said. Okay? So let's say the start is where you were 90 days ago. Mm-hmm. As an adventure. The achieve is what you've actually attained or fulfilled over the last 90 days.
Sure.
The ideal outcome is where you wish for going, or wish you were.
Yeah, that's where you wanted to get. That's your target where you wanted to hit. And then you're going to see how close you got?
Yeah. So the ideal outcome is where you wish you were. Now watch this. I got to pull a bill. I know you want to say something. Just give me 1 second. Let me get this concept out. Now watch this. Because I had to pull a bill on this one, okay?
Yeah.
So you started somewhere 90 days ago. You had this ideal outcome that you were heading for. Now it's 90 days later, and you're looking at, here's where I am right now.
Yeah.
Okay, now watch this. Check out the definition of ideal. Most suitable or existing on an imagination. Mm-hmm. Desirable or perfect, but not likely to become a reality.
Oh man.
The definition of ideal is most suitable or existing on an imagination. Existing on an imagination. Desirable or perfect, but not likely to become a reality. An ultimate object or aim of endeavor. It's the definition of an ideal, right?
Okay.
So it's it's what you find is most suitable for your situation. It exists only in your imagination. Right? It's desirable or perfect. Like, I can't pay my bills this month. Oh my God, I should do real estate so I could do that. Mm-hmm. It's a desirable, perfect solution. But it's only in your imagination.
Right. And a little piece of that said, you probably aren't going to make it because it's like way, way, way at the top. But some other parts of that are like, no, that's a good thing. You should do it. So it's somewhere between you're going to make it and you probably won't.
but not likely to become reality. An ultimate object or aim of endeavor. So it's the ultimate, like it's the perfect stop. So if you were to do start, change, stop, it would be the perfect stop.
The perfect ending to the story. And why not go for it? I mean, why aim low? Well, I think there's a trick to that. What I was trying to say, it's not a big thing, but obviously if you aim too high, you're going to disappoint yourself. If you aim too low, you're not going to get very far. So you'll keep talking, I'm sure, but that's got to be part of the equation here. Like, what do you aim for, right?
So this is this rhetoric, and I don't mean that as a derogatory, but this words that you're saying are Grant Cardone's 10x rule talk.
Oh, I thought that before him. It's these are what would go through a lot of people's heads probably, but he says that too, huh?
Yeah. So now pay attention to this. Happiness is in the achievement category. So happiness is in the achievement category.
Right.
It's those obstacles you overcome and knowing you are making progress towards the ideal scene. It's not hitting the ideal outcome. It's the obstacles that you overcome. Now go back to what I said at the beginning of the podcast. Which is why I wrote this podcast, because of what my experience has been in the last couple of weeks. What am I grateful for today? What 3 things am I grateful for today? And it's going to make you clarify in your mind the happiness. Happiness is achieved. Happiness is in the achieved category, the middle circle.
Yeah.
It's those obstacles you overcome and knowing you are making progress towards the ideal outcome, which is the top one, right? Happiness is not in hitting the outcome.
No, people think that, and you and I have both read some of the same materials and books, and what you're saying is something I've run into too. And I was actually explaining it to one of my high school students yesterday. But the guy who wins the Super Bowl, right? He wakes up next morning like, oh, what do I do now?
Exactly.
I won.
And I will tell you something, Peter. Another thing that I do that I know we have talked about, but it's been a while, is when I can't hit a goal. Like I have a goal and I'm trying to hit it, Yep. I learned this some years ago. Here's what I do. I either make a bigger goal or I make a goal beyond that. Like, I want to retire. Well, why do I want to retire? It's like I can't retire. Which, by the way, I did that in 2014. I retired.
Yeah.
It lasted for a year. Okay. Number one. Number 2, I want to retire. Why can't I retire? Well, because I don't have a goal of what I'm going to do when I retire. There's not a bigger goal on the other end. See, when you make the bigger goal on the other end bigger, the goal that you're trying to get now seems dwarfed or smaller, and it'd be easier to attain. Like, for example, I want to make $30,000 so I can donate it to the church. So the first goal is making $30,000. The bigger goal is donating $30,000 to the church. Or I want to make $100,000 so I can, I want to make $100,000. That's the goal. And then the bigger goal is to pay off my daughter's mortgage.
That sounds like a really good reason to have the goal. That's what the goal is
too.
For, right?
That too.
That sounds
but
like
you
a
want
really good purpose for it.
Right, but it's a bigger goal. Like for example, I wrote, and maybe I'll read it next week. I was going to do it this week, but I wrote like, what are my goals? What are my goals? Right, and they're not what you think. It's the first time I've ever done this.
No.
The way I wrote them.
The way okay.
The way
I know you work on those things. You have 90-day goals usually.
Yeah, I have 90-day goals. So let me just give you a couple examples. It's what I wrote as what I call my success criteria.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I wake up every morning and I ask myself, what would I like to do today? 2, my passive income exceeds the needs of my lifestyle I choose to live. If I want to take 4 months off, I choose to do that So does my passive income allow me to live that lifestyle?
Right.
Right? I can live anywhere I choose to be. Right? I am working on projects that affect me and allow me to do my best work for best results. Right? I can disappear for several months and with no effect on my obligations and my income. Right? And then there's a few more, but I want to read one more, right? It's actually the next one. Ready for this one?
Surely.
This shows the true color of Bill. Okay? There are no whiny people or distractions I don't want in my life.
Yep.
Because I deal with that.
Yeah.
A lot. Because I have a lot of people that want me to help them or want me to do things for them. Okay, Back to the podcast. How am I doing so far?
It's making sense to me.
Okay. Now, here's the life-changing lesson. This is, for me, was absolutely like $1 million piece of information that has totally changed my life. On measuring yourself. Measuring yourself up against an ideal outcome is an endless race to nowhere. That ideal outcome could be the form of hope or expectation. It could be a comparison with something else or someone else. So unhappiness comes from measuring yourself against your ideal. That moving horizon only you are imagining.
Yep.
Now, a perfect example of this, one of my partners, who's a young guy, and me, and the reason why I recognize it, because I know what happens. I have an attention span of about 2 weeks. Do you know why that is? It took me a long time to figure this out. Because of what I'm reading.
Oh, like you're in a different book and there's a different idea and that sparks something and you go that a ways.
My imagination is controlled by what I'm reading. Like, what can I do with my future with this information? Because I'm definitely one of those people that it's like, I'm like playing football and I catch the ball and I run like a son of a bitch.
Yep.
So when I'm reading, it's like I catch that ball and now I'm running. I'm immediately, I put the book down and I get out of bed or get out of the chair or put it down on my desk and I open my computer and I just start doing it. Right?
Yeah, I know this because I'm always trying to keep up with you.
Right. So happiness comes from measuring yourself. So unhappiness comes from measuring yourself against your ideal outcome. That moving horizon, only you are imagining. All you have to do is shift to measuring yourself up against your achievements, not from your ideal outcome.
Yeah, the one that it says in the definition that you probably can't get. So you could never F and be happy that way.
Right. So to start measuring your achievements from where you started.
Yeah.
See, I've had a lot of people work for me and complain, you're never happy. We could never make you happy. This is the reason why, because it would be like, okay, so let's get 3 houses bought this month.
Yep.
We'd buy 2 houses, make a shit ton of money, more than 3 houses put together. And I'd be, but like we were supposed to buy 3. Why are you so happy?
And you stopped doing that now. You're not doing that anymore. That's gone, right?
I haven't been for the last couple of weeks, yes.
Yeah, I have noticed you've been happier. Like, first thing in the morning, Peter, how you doing? You actually, Bill, folks, he really is happier lately.
And all I'm doing is I'm measuring myself. So I've kind of put this together. So by laying down at night and saying, what am I grateful for? What did I do today that I'm grateful for? I'm glad I wrote that document. I'm glad I spoke this thing. I've been wanting to for, I bet you, 2 years. I've been telling my coach, I'm going to go back into my coaching archives, and I just want to start writing people letters, handwriting letters.
Really?
And I just, all I did the other day was write 5 letters, and I was grateful that I did it. I'm like, oh my God, I finally did that. And it took me like 11 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that. But I did it because I wanted to say at the end of the day, I'm like, I appreciate I did that. I'm grateful that happened.
You know what I'm noticing as you speak about all this? When you do the gratitude for the day, you are discovering the things that you were able to overcome. And I think that would help anybody, you and all of us, notice the things that you can do.
Yeah, exactly.
The things that you can do.
Exactly.
Rather than the things you can't do.
Let's go back to the beginning of the podcast where
Yeah.
I said an example of an elephant in the wild. So being objectively free. Dr. Hardy said this, right?
Yeah.
Freedom is subjective and freedom to is subjective and internal. Freedom from is like releasing yourself of a hostile environment or an environment you don't want or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? So
Something you want to get away from.
So most people can't quit their job because they need the money, and it's a hostile environment. So they're trying to get freedom from that.
Right.
What I'm saying is with this gratitude thing, exactly what you're saying. When you think I'm grateful this or grateful of that, that's your freedom too. That's your internal subjective freedom. Like, oh, and I have noticed, I get this on a couple nights, most of them actually. I get this warm, tingly feeling. It's like, wow, what was that? It's so serene.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And this is not something I like read in a book or something. It's just something that I kind of like pieced together.
It totally sounds like pieces. I recognize pieces of that because I've run into the same things, but the way you've put it together, everybody has to put their pieces together in a way that makes sense to them. So this may make no sense to some people listening, and I'm sorry for that if that's the case, but it make amazing sense to people otherwise. Matter of fact, I had a friend, you'll know her, I'll tell you later, worked at the church, and she'd be helping people with problems, and they would give her all their problems. She'd look at them and say, okay, well, what can you do? Well, they can't. So she'd go, okay, what can you do? She kept asking that, Bill, until they went, well, I could do that. And they would shift because they started focusing on what they can do, what obstacle they could overcome, and you could see the shift in their eye. It was amazing. And
the happiness is overcoming that obstacle.
That's it. And yeah, it was just amazing. And
Kiyosaki wrote this in his book. I want to go back to what I was talking about because I don't think I illustrated a good example. So Kiyosaki wrote, I think it's either in Rich Dad, Poor Dad or Cash Flow Quadrant. I don't remember which one. Mm-hmm. He talks about if you have money problems, go find someone and help them with their money problems. Mm-hmm. I did that and raised $750,000 for a church in 4 months because I did that.
Yeah.
All I did is I was thinking to myself, at the time I was having some money trouble. Mm-hmm. I had all this debt and all this stuff was going on. It was all this weirdness, right?
Yep.
I'm like, how can I handle this? Oh, well, I have money problems. I should go find other people that have money problems and help them. Mm-hmm. And then when I got all done, I would say to them, well, why don't you donate something to the church? And my buddy Steve and I, you know who I'm talking about, we raised $750,000 for a church. So when I say the goal is bigger, so like the thing that really, 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 really kind of quirks me is if you want to buy a house, you want to learn real estate, then go find someone that needs help with their real estate, which is what I named inappropriately, because it didn't do good with it, is my reluctant buyer kit.
Oh.
Because you're being a reluctant buyer. You're going in the house and you're being a customer service agent. You're going in the house and you're saying to the seller, I want to help you sell your house. And oh yeah, by the way, this is the first time I've done this, so I need your help to be able to learn how to do this. So what I'm getting out of this is my education. What you're getting out of this is my ability to help you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, the coaching students, because I've coached a lot of students. In fact, if you notice in my emails, I've changed my name. It's not Bill the Dealmaker anymore. I've been putting on the bottom of my emails under my signature, Bill Hawthorne, and then underneath it I put Real Estate Millionaire Maker.
I did see that.
Okay, because that's what my purpose is right now. My purpose is not to sell you my courses anymore, or sell you anything. My purpose is to sell you on the idea of you can apply this, you could do this, and here's how. Right? Because it can be done. Right? That's my value. My value is I'm going to be the one. And you know this. I've had Ron LeGrand students. I've had Kiyosaki students. I've had many Than Merrill students that pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 to these people, and they come to me and say, "How do I do it?" And then they buy properties with me.
Yeah, and they don't spend $30,000, $40,000.
Not even close.
Nope.
Not even close.
Nope.
Not even a tenth of that.
Nope.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that here we go. I'm just going to keep reading. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
The more solid statistic or a better gauge is to allow you to think about your experiences. Be grateful for those obstacles that you overcame, because those are what's making you happy. And the more obstacles you overcome. Now, here's the funny thing about that thing, because we've been saying this for a very long time. What's the definition of happiness? Overcoming unknown or known obstacles.
Mm-hmm. On the way to the goal.
Right? But here's what I figured out. That is true. That is very true. But there's a second part of the formula. You have to acknowledge that you overcame it. Mm-hmm. You have to take a second and think, "Oh, I'm glad I did that. Oh my God, I'm making progress."
That's funny. That is, Bill, that is so funny, but you're absolutely correct. Because you do it all the time, and you were giving yourself a goddamn break when you did.
Yeah.
You weren't giving yourself a break. Like, what a good job. Because I'll watch. See, folks, what you said earlier, like, you're free because you don't worry about getting into something. And I used to worry much more, and I'm worrying very little lately about that. Like, well, what if the house? What if? And we bought houses that needed so many things, couldn't even get the title. Couldn't even get the title, couldn't get off the ground. And then, like, the damn furnace thing, and the damn hole in the thing, and the damn squirrel in the roof that you couldn't, in the attic you couldn't get. One after the other, but you never worry about that because you know I'll be able to figure it out. Quote, in your head, there's words that go, "Oh, I can figure that out," or "I can figure out whatever comes up." And I'm like that with a lot of things. I'm getting better at that with whatever, because I have found that if I need help, I can find somebody that can help me.
Exactly.
That's the who stuff.
That's the who stuff.
And I saw some things last year with the who's, you know.
Now, what you just said, I'm going through that myself. What you just said, of course, I talk about Dr. Maltz in the psycho-cybernetics.
Okay.
And I talk about L. Ron Hubbard with Dianetics.
Mm-hmm.
I think L. Ron Hubbard said it in Dianetics. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he said it in Dianetics.
I might know because I read that too, of course. What?
You become what you resist.
Oh, it's somewhere. If it's not there, yeah, he did say that.
You become what you resist.
That's like...
So if you're resisting having debt, you become more in debt. If you're resisting not buying a house, you don't buy a house. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get you to look at your mind, in your mind every day and say, "I'm grateful I did this." You're not resisting it now.
Yeah.
I'm grateful that I had to pay that $1,000 bill that I didn't want to pay because now it's over.
Mm-hmm. Grateful you had the money to do it.
Right.
You know? Well, I always get bills only when I have the money to do it. I get a bunch of money, then a couple of things show up. But I can handle it then, you know? I got a broken dishwasher drain that's got to get fixed in the ground outside my house. Thank God it's only a few feet, not like the lady's got to go down the house, around the house, and in the back. But exactly. I got money to fix that. It's like, oh, good. Then we'll have to call these guys over here to drain it out. Stop having water on the damn my new floor seeping through my click tile. Come on. But it's like, fine. It's fine. I can do it. It's not a problem.
So when you're doing the right, I got all that. So when you're doing the right measurement, you're not measuring up against your, well, I'm going to just keep reading. So it allows you to live within your own experiences now. It allows you to appreciate where you are and the obstacles you had to overcome to get here. If you focus on what you lack, you lose what you have.
Yep.
If you focus on what you have, you gain what you lack.
Okay. I had to think about the second half of that. Yeah, yeah.
If you focus on what you lack, you lose what you have. If you focus on what you have, you gain what you lack. Thank you, Greg McKeown, for those amazing words.
Mm-hmm.
Ideal outcomes are meant to provide direction, motivation, and meaning to our lives. They are not the measuring stick. And society teaches us much different than that. Which is why I was telling you the story in the beginning of this podcast about how I go against the herd. Because when I started doing this is when all of a sudden something changed. I've been doing the herd stuff for 10 years and it doesn't work. Or it does work, but not to the magnitude that what I've made more progress in the last month doing this than I did in the last 10 years doing what the herd does.
Yeah.
With goals and purposes and all that stuff. I've done more in the last month. I've had more mental stability and encouragement, and my statistics have changed more in the last, especially the last couple of weeks, doing what I'm talking about here than I did with all the other stuff for the last 10 years.
Bill, do you think getting away from the herd is more freedom from, and what you're doing now is more freedom to?
Yeah.
That's what it seems to me.
Well, autonomy is the word. What does autonomy mean?
It means being your own person. Being, it's you.
Right.
That's master of your own fate. Autonomous is on your own,
Right.
free of other influences.
So
It's not
autonomy is the quality or state of being self-governed, especially the right of self-governing. The territory was granted autonomy. Self-direction, freedom, and especially moral independence, personal autonomy. Self-governing state.
And you called that self-determinism before. I
Yes.
think that's about the same thing.
Yes.
It's not like, well, my parents want me to do this, my wife thinks I should do that, the boss said this, the neighbors think, like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Those are all moving targets. By the way, when you have that, that means that your father, your brother, and all the examples you just used are measuring you off of their ideal.
Yeah.
Your mother wants you to be a lawyer. That's her ideal. It's a moving target. It's not, and she's not giving you credit for the achievement of, oh my God, he's in college and he's studying to be an engineer.
Yep.
Instead, she's measuring you off of, oh, I want you to be a lawyer, so you're no good to me. You're in college for engineer. I'm not paying for that. I'm not supporting that. I want you to be a lawyer. It's her ideal. It's a moving target. It's a horizon that keeps... I mean, what is the definition of a horizon?
Well, that's the thing that you can never get at because it keeps moving as the earth goes.
Right. So horizon, let me...
Yeah, as you're typing that, I have a funny example in my educational sphere of music. Somebody will call me and say, hey, I want my kid to learn how to play the guitar. I said, yeah, whose idea is that? Oh, mine. I never played when I was a kid. I said, good, you're getting the lessons. And I made the father take the lessons.
Right.
It was his idea. You get it. Then you can teach your kid. He lasted 6 months. But
There
yeah, yeah, your idea is your idea. What's the other kid? The other person's idea.
So here's the definition of horizon. The line at which the Earth's surface and sky appear to meet. Mm-hmm. Definition number 2, right, is the limit of a person's mental perception, experience, or interest. So what's the point is, it's always over there. You're never going to get there.
No,
because
as you walk towards it, it's over there further. It's like
it's still going to be this. The earth keeps moving, and if you're like I am, you keep reading and keep learning. Your mental. Here's one thing, and then we need to get out of here. Here's one thing that I talked about some time ago. When you come on the Bill's planet, if you actually come on the Bill's planet and just pay attention just a little bit, I have the expectation of stretching your mind about ideas with real estate. Here's what happens when you stretch something. The idea is that when it shrinks and I'm not around you anymore, and your mind shrinks back down, it doesn't shrink back. It doesn't shrink back to the same size.
Oh, good, yeah.
It's a little bigger than it was because I stretched your imagination. So, with the definition of the horizon, right, the limit of a person's mental perception, experience, or interest, did it not just shrink, expand? So how are you going to ever hit your horizon? It's a moving target.
Yeah.
Your ideal is a moving target.
You somehow
you can't measure your achievements up against the ideal. You have to measure your achievements from where you started, and that's the definition of happiness. What obstacles have you overcome to get where you are now? Now, definitely keep your ideal outcome in your mind so you have a compass.
Yeah.
But you can't measure from that. And that's what I've been doing for 58 years. Probably more like 48 years. But I've always measured my achievements up against the ideals. And it's always caused discomfort and unpleasure. It's driven me like a mad dog. I mean, I'm definitely a workaholic, right? But I never hit the target because the target's always moving.
Yep.
Right? Ideal outcomes are meant to provide direction, motivation, and meaning to our lives. They are not the measuring stick. We are taught in our society to measure ourselves against our ideals, which by definition, as I've proven to you today, are unmeasurable. So why are we taught that? This is like going to school and saying, study, but never taught how to study. Right? This is like growing up and somebody gives you a paycheck and you're like, this happened to my kids when they were 17, 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
When they were never taught what to do with the checkbook. They were never taught how to balance a checkbook. In school, they were both going into college and didn't ever have an opportunity to be taught how to balance a checkbook. Right? These things that I'm talking about are what family does because you can't get that in society.
Yeah.
You can't get unless you could get it, but when you don't have something you don't know you don't have it, you can't go to somebody and say, hey, until you have the problem of having a checkbook and it's constantly not being balanced and you're tired of it being overdraft and paying all the fees, until then, the teacher won't show up. Right? Yeah. Using this measuring stick of achievement against your ideal outcome instead of against your achievements means our thrill wears off. And quickly you go back to normal. Working harder and harder to be happy, but staying exactly where you started. It leads to never being satisfied and constantly seeking the next thing. Which is exactly what most of my students do. They have this ideal outcome of a quick $30,000 check or $10,000 a month consistent income. And the thrill wears off quickly because everything they do gets measured against their ideal outcome.
Yeah.
Instead of what they have achieved to find a golden goose that lays a golden egg. Golden goose that lays a golden egg. Yeah. What is that? I'm going to tell you right now, a golden goose that lays a golden egg is money now, money monthly, money later. I have professed on this podcast in many places, which is why I'm changing it all, on how you don't need me, you don't need my coaching, you don't need anything. I put in an email the other day. How do you lose weight? I'll tell you how you lose weight. Ready?
Yep.
I'm going to tell you how to lose weight. Eat more protein, eat more vegetables, eat less carbs and sugars, and portion control. Right? That's all you need to do to lose weight. Simple, right?
Sure.
Then why do tens of millions of people in the United States do that? Can't do that because it's too hard. The self-control is too hard because they're measuring, I want to lose 50 pounds. And they do those things. They eat more protein, more vegetables, less carbs, right? And portion control for 5 days and expect it to work. Because they're not measuring their achievements. They're not looking at, oh my God, I feel better, or, whatever. I didn't have to take a nap in the afternoon, or I sleep better at night. They're not looking at their achievements. They're looking at the idea like, I didn't lose the 50 pounds.
Yeah, you didn't gain it in 5 days either. Hello.
So this is what happens to my coaching. This is not my coaching client. Any of my students is they want. I'm telling you, Peter. Think of this. I'm way out of control right now. Think of this. I get so passionate about this. So passionate about this. I did a 14-day email course. You can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com right now, and you can go get my 14-day email course. All right. I'm gonna actually do a webinar on this, and I think I'm gonna write a book on this. Right? I kind of had the title half baked in my head. It's kind of like how to use creative real estate to do more in your future than in the past. Type of thing, right? So here's my point. Just with what I taught you on slot deals, forget about slot deals, rent-to-own deals.
Yeah.
You go onto Facebook and you go look for a rent-to-own buyer, and you message them, would you be willing to rent for a year or two and then sell to me? Sooner or later, somebody will say yes. So you go rent an apartment with an option to buy for 2 years, a contract for 2 years. You go find a sublet, somebody that will do that for you, and they will pay for the mortgage and the payments, and they'll do all the maintenance, they'll do all the repairs, they'll do all that, right?
Sure.
Now, lately we've been talking about down payment assistance money. So if you need 10 grand, you get 6 grand up front and you write a note for 6 grand. Because we're doing this, we're averaging $700, $800, $1,000 per house. How many deals do most of our listeners need at $800 or $1,000 a house to fire their boss? So the problem is that you're not emotionally invested. And the value that I just gave you, you didn't appreciate it because I'm giving it to you for free right now so you don't think it's valuable. So your results are low because you're kicking it to the curb thinking, oh yeah, I knew that. Oh, that's too simple. Right?
Well, you're looking for some magic that nobody knows? Like there's any magic left in this? This has been around for like thousands of years. There's a few techniques. You just have to be good at doing it.
Right. So my achievement would be I want 4 golden gooses laying eggs of $800 a piece per month, whatever the number is. So your achievements, when you're looking at your achievements at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the end of the month, you're thinking, oh, I found 2 sellers today. I hope they text me back. Right? Or I spoke to a seller today and did a presentation. I don't think he's going to sell me the deal, but I sure did get better at talking to them. The next one will be even better. And people don't do that. They're looking at the ideals. So one of the questions I asked on my survey was, what's more important to you? Getting quick cash or having consistent income? Almost 90% said consistent income.
Nice.
Why am I spending all this time on flipping houses and trying to make cash? People in my universe don't want that. The golden goose is your ticket out.
The consistency.
It's when you make what we call the trifecta: money now, money monthly, money later on your transactions. And you don't have to be a genius to do it. If you rented an apartment somewhere or rented a place to live in the past, you're about 85% of the way there, maybe 90% of the way there of knowing how to do it. You're making it more confusing in your own head because of this measurement of you're measuring yourself against the ideal instead of your achievements. You're measuring the wrong thing. So what happens is if it doesn't work, just like the diet, if it doesn't work in 5 days, you're jumping onto a new shiny thing. You're looking somewhere else because you think that I'm incorrect or that it didn't happen fast enough. And there lies the problem.
Bill, you know what I'm going to do?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make an achievement log.
Good.
When I achieve things, I'm going to make note of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go to sleep tonight, I know what to be happy about.
Good. It's too simple.
Yeah.
It's way too simple.
Yeah.
So make sure wherever you're listening to us or you watched us today, you subscribe. So when we come back online, you can see us or hear us. Please go to Flipping Houses for Rookies to leave a testimonial. Top right-hand side of Flipping Houses for Rookies. If you have a question, there's a support link there. If you want to get a bunch of free stuff, go to the free stuff page. It's all there for you. I don't know how much longer that stuff's going to be. I've been threatening to take the free stuff page down and some of the other stuff because I need you, my listener, to get emotionally involved. I need you to start getting the value of what I'm telling you or what our experience is and sharing it with you so you too can do it. So you need to take a different viewpoint of what you hear on these podcasts. Okay? It's called empirical data. What does that mean?
In my world, from what I've seen, that means you have seen it. You can go look at it. It's observable. It proves itself when you see it.
Right.
They get
Exactly.
it right. I got it right again. I have looked up 14,000 words or more.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about free stuff. You know, there's countries like Russia. There, everything is free. You have to pay for everything by taxes or your lifeblood, but everything's free. But they have terrible production problems. So they go to school for free. So how valuable is it to them?
Right.
I've had some of my students. One's going to Harvard. One isn't Harvard, just graduated. One is going to New Hampshire. One's going to maybe Cornell. They're paying a lot of money for that. I think they'll be appreciative of that and grateful of that and probably use it.
Yep.
You know?
So empirical means based on, concerning with, or verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, we're over and out, Pete. See you at podcast number 289. And like I said, if you check us out on Thursday mornings, 9:30 a.m., you can actually ask questions or be part of the podcast. In final, make sure you click on the link inside of the chat or inside of the description because there's 21 precepts on how to be happy there, sitting there waiting for you. Over and out. Have a good week.
Bill, you gave the way to happiness?
I did.
Putting your money where your mouth is, huh?
Yep.
That's awesome.
I went online, and that's how I found that link yesterday with the police thing.
I liked that. What was that part of?
The Way to Happiness. I was on the Way to Happiness site.
I didn't see that. I saw some other things. I didn't see. I guess there was a lot more I could have seen, but it seemed to end. Anyways, that's a nice document.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. Cool podcast, huh?
Yep. I'm glad you figured that out.
Yeah. All right. So I need to probably, I don't need to go right this moment. I need to meet Jim Seagrave at 12:30 for lunch.
Okay. So the luncheonette's gone, huh? Or sold? It's sold, though? Well. Yeah, somebody else, huh? One of these days we'll go back for old time's sake or something. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. No kidding. A lot of places use the same oil over and over and over again, especially if they fry things. It's the same oil because it gets rancid. Yeah, it's true. That's too bad. Yeah, that's good. Oh, really? Oh, like a young couple? Wow. Oh, man, they'll be there for a long time. Well, I have two things I want to go over quickly with you. Shouldn't take too long. One is I'm going to talk to Kazmira's tonight. And I'm going to go back to the lease option offer. And I don't have it all figured out, but I have my raw numbers. And his lowest price he's talking is $180,000. And I did comps today. I looked at it again. Zillow's going 192. PropStream has got 193 for average. Well, they're really about the same, 192.9. So they're the same, 193. But they have an estimated value on PropStream of 219 and a rent at 1687. And he's getting 16. I know our rents are whatever we put him at, a little higher than that. But I was surprised that the comps are a little better than I thought. And still, it's Zillow. They don't know that it doesn't have a yard, and there's a kind of stupid parking lot right next to it. And he owes 150 or so, maybe a little less by now, about 150. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I had offered the equity on the pay down of the mortgage. Could you tell which is less? Because he would take that. Is it less to do that or the 5%? What puts more money in our pocket? Why do you say that? He didn't ask for any interest. No, no, he didn't. You might be thinking of somebody else. He wanted, huh? On the Okay. Oh, maybe that's when you were talking. When I had him, he would just take the mortgage reduction. Oh, interest only? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, well, we're paying all the bills and all that, and then giving him 125. Oh, okay. Hmm. Okay. Let me write some of that down because he did say he didn't really worry about the money the first year or two, so it's just plain straight subject to. And then on the third year going forward, it goes to 5% uh, on the 31,000. Right. Yeah, and it was a little fast. I got to because I was thinking different before, so I thought I just said it. Okay. Yeah, yeah. Whatever's left of the balance. Yeah, 31,000 exactly. Yeah. Hmm. Right. So I get it. Yeah, we're not paying anything on that. We're just paying the mortgage. So we're not paying on the 31. That's like supposed to happen at the end. But on the third year, we'll start. Um, yeah, and he just gets the 5% because the principal will be paid off on cash out. So he's getting a cash flow. So he's getting something. Okay. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh. Yes, I think. Well, actually, he had the city pay him 15,000 for 6 months. So I think it was 13, and his expenses were 16. That's what it turned out, right? He owed. Let me turn the page over. His yeah. Mortgage payment is 1310. Yeah, I think he was getting 1,600 in rent. Yeah, 1,600. Yep. What? The 15,000? Right, and he said he had to check with the lady because he wanted to see what the balance was that she had from that. That's why he was saying February, maybe March. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And he wasn't sure. That's why he was saying it's not February. It's probably more like March. And he's not paying much attention to it. They gave him 15 fucking $1,000. He doesn't care. He went and spent it, and he just didn't care. You know. Yep. Yep. Conveyance. Oh, I thought we didn't. I thought that's the one you always say, like, we can't pay that because that's yours. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I will say we'll take care of the conveyance tasks. See how I do that? I don't say we're going to pay it because we're not. We'll take care of it, which we will. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if he doesn't, I'm never talking to him again. I'm done. I am. I'm done because these people just keep fucking wanting everything. Who's going to pay the water? $67. Go fuck yourself. Come on, we're talking big dollars here. Don't be such a penny pincher. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little more, but I'll just punch in the calculator. It's 100 and whatever. 100, if it's 100, whatever the number is, 131 times 5, whatever it is. 128, whatever, 31. It's what, 30? Yeah, we'll have to get the exact numbers though, just to make it, when we write it. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. No, totally. So for us on our end, we be from 180 to 209. There's like 29,000 in equity, right? Good. And then our cash flow would be 400, maybe 500. Okay. Yeah. Uh, and then up front, 5 or 10, 7. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's fine. I get it. When it ends, right? Yeah, up till closing. Okay. And we can do paperwork now, and he has to figure out when the 15,000 ends, and that's when we start. Right. Okay. So, in the only other piece of the puzzle, then, do we take it with the lady in, or should we ask him to get her to go? Because when the money runs out, she's supposed to go, but what if she sits there? We have to evict her, or will he get rid of her? Yeah. We'll just assume she's leaving, and then we'll deal with it then. Yeah, but we can't get our deal though. The money now, money later, and all that bit. I'd rather. Well. Mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah. Sure. I think the only reason she would stay is that she didn't have another place to go, and that's a little tricky right now finding a place. But if nothing else, she'd be month to month. I wouldn't give her a lease; it'd be month to month, and then as soon as she can get gone, she gets gone. Okay, that's good. Doesn't make me nervous at all. Okay. Now the other question is shorter. I talked to Jess DeGray last night, Roman's been giving her locationals, and she watched the last Thursday night little briefing from Carol Ann, and she's totally with it. She's not like, please, she doesn't need to be recovered. She needs help. She's doing well. She talked to me yesterday about work, going back to the insurance guy, and she sold something to somebody, but she wants to make good money and be successful again and be a kick-ass like she's supposed to be. And this is her boss that's been following Grant Cardone, the kid. He's like 37. He makes $350,000. So she's telling me how they get in the office and they buy leads, like $2 a lead. People who call in on Facebook that want insurance. And sometimes the leads really suck. They want some different kind of insurance. They want hospital, or they want just something else. So it's not great leads, but it's $2 a piece. So she's going to buy a whack of leads. And then she has to sit there and cold call all day. And I'm thinking, don't you guys use VAs? And she goes, what's that? So I told her, for like $5, $6 an hour, you can have somebody make the dumbass calls for you and just give them a short script for an opening call. Then you do the big girl stuff. And so she got real interested in that because nobody seems to be doing that in this industry. Does that sound strange to you that they're not doing that? They just don't know about it? Yeah, yeah. Mm. Yeah, I thought VAs were more like just general business, like people would do that. I get dumb calls, from, it's in various business. I'm surprised it wasn't in that because all they do is like, all day long, ah. So she wanted to know, I mean, she'll have to just start from scratch because she's kind of poor. She's borrowing her kind of stepdad has all the mother's money and she got screwed out of like a lot of money. One of the uncles just took $40,000 and it was supposed to go to her and just took it. Paid his house off, the asshole. Anyway, she can borrow some money, but first you got to get going. And I know you've been through various VAs where you have to pick your own, and there's some companies you can talk to the guy and he'll pick one for you. So, oh, good. That's awesome. In my head, yeah, and then she can ask me more, and then and Roman help, I'll help, and all that. The end goal of this is she does such a nice job. The boss, who's into Grant Cardone and interested in Scientology, I think a little bit, she doesn't feel she can disseminate because she feels like a piece of shit right now. But I can envision him getting in contact with me or you or Wise or something, especially when there's a little better bit of an org going on, and helping a guy get on the bridge with money and having another player because he actually wants to help people now. He makes so much money, he just likes to help people, and he wants to help Jess. So he's a helper. He might be a Scientologist at heart. So that's he will. He well, she didn't ask him. She doesn't have to. She can get it from Bruce, her stepdad. It's her mother's money that she's getting, but he will match her on whatever money she puts in for leads. He'll pay the other half. So he's doing that. And then he gives 90% of commissions to his workers and only takes 10. So that's pretty generous. That's really high, I think, for in that industry. So that's probably what I get. Yes. Uh huh. Mm-hmm. 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 She probably knows that. She makes horrible mistakes. She started that business with a guy's like a criminal in SP. You know, she's got some very bad blind spots in a fat case on top of her. She's very my take is she's very able, but she's gotten herself fucked up so much in her history that she's got horrible baggage and mistakes that she's just going to be dramatizing. And she shows up for SRD and it fucks up, and that's what she's supposed to be on. Yeah. And she's one of those people that get in the middle of everything, like Rinaldi, and kept getting in trouble because he kept getting in the middle of things. And people go, look at all the trouble he gets in. I say, fuck you. He's doing shit. Of course he's going to get in trouble. Me, I get in trouble. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Wait a minute. I say it again. I stepped on something here. Hang on. HCOPL. What? Okay. Subject justice. I got it. Mm-hmm. Sounds like something you've been through lately. Okay. Yeah, Roman's working with her, and he did like 3 locations, and she popped out. She stopped complaining. She started talking about work and making money and being successful again, like after 3 locations. So she has potential, obviously, but yeah, it's like, ooh. But I'd rather have her than the people that don't give a shit and you always have to drag them. At least she shows up willingly. She called me. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I take my stable datum was if I can't get my kids on and people that I care about on my list because they're in my life directly, I will get anybody on the bridge, especially their friends. And then eventually I'll get everybody else eventually. But, get what I can. And she's my backup plan if I die and they're not on the bridge. She's clear. Nick Televi's clear. Megan's clear. And Garrett has Garrett has a girlfriend. Yeah, and the word is a few months, and it seems to be going well. She's a sculptor, and she makes a lot of money. She's an artist, and she has panic attacks. So a few days ago, she had one in front of him, and he does a locational for 45 minutes, and it blows for 2 weeks. She goes, why didn't you tell me about this? So he's making plans of connecting her up with Carol for auditing, like Megan. So, yeah. No, she bought a clear package. Yeah, and some of it, she bought it in L.A. And she wound up putting some of it at Flag and got auditing 3-4 years ago at Flag, and some of it is at New Haven, and the rest is still in L.A. L.A. is telling her to come out for net assist because she had her brother die and her mother die, and it just kind of threw her bad. But Garrett's going to go over do the lost person assist, and Roman's been doing locationals, and she's getting better. Maybe she can do a net assist here with Carol or the org. Why not? It's right here. She's concerned you go to the org and it just not enough people and terminals to push through fast. You go to, you know how it is, you go to flag, bang, 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 you get everything done. You don't have to wait 3 days for an answer on something or a week and a half to find a fucking answer. Or 2 months to get your assist program back. So she might not need that right now, but that's what she's looking at. That's what they're saying. Yeah. Yeah, you know, working it. You can't leave these people running amok. There's nothing else. Okay, I think I have what I need. I'll be talking to him tonight. You going on course? Yeah, okay. Tuesday. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. I understand. Yeah. Oh no, he shows up. What do you want? Oh, okay. Mm, mm, yeah. And Noel was saying she probably put 25 hours, 5 hours a week lately on the project. I'm thinking, look, that's getting even for with me now. It's just starting to add up points, but you're nowhere near me, babe. Not those blood, sweat, and tears. Mm.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.